We'll start in 1 minute. Yeah. Troublemaker. Call the meeting back to order. And thank you all for a really productive conversation. I think that was one of the best conversations and deliberations I've experienced on, especially on workforce education as a member of this board. So I thank the board members for their active engagement on the topic. The other, another very important issue that we've been grappling with as a system, and we've also gotten a lot of attention for lately, is on basic skills education, and this is the time where we often get a annual report on basic skills. So I want to turn it over to the chancellor, and then we've scheduled some time to have a robust discussion. What we'll do is have a brief presentation. We'll see if there's any board member questions specifically about the presentation, and then then we'll take some public comment, and then we'll have board conversation.
Thank you, President Baum, members of the board. I'll keep this really brief. I do want to thank you for asking us to report on this subject, and to remind you that although our time may seem truncated today, this is an issue and a subject that will come back to you often. So with that, and to keep this short, I'm going to turn it right over to Vice Chancellor Walker and let her introduce her colleagues. And we apologize for the new technology, but the other one fried, so we're, if nothing else, flexible.
Yeah.
Thanks, President Baum, Vice President Estolano, board members, Chancellor Harris. Let me first just tell you a bit about a basic skills student, one who enters college at least one course below college level English, math, or English as a second language. That's our ESL programs. You will hear today that as many as 70% of our California community college students are unprepared for college level coursework in English, and as many as 90% are unprepared for college coursework in mathematics, according to the Student Success Task Force of 2012. Students who enter college unprepared for the rigors of college-level coursework are 30% likely to achieve, are 30% less likely to achieve a successful outcome, such as earning that degree, that certificate, or transferring to a four-year college or university. The Chancellor's Office, however, has led numerous efforts in support of developing programs for underprepared students, even before something called a Basic Skills Initiative became a reality in 2007. However, it was Assembly Bill 194 that created and identified categories of expenditures and guidelines for those expenditures. A collaboration of many led some to indicate that the Basic Skills Initiative may have been one of the most successful projects of that time because faculty, students, Chancellor's Office, and legislators realized the ongoing struggle to better serve our students and developed practices and provided statewide and fiscal support to that process. Through the Basic Skills Initiative, which we call BSI, colleges learned about innovative educational strategies and developing resources where colleges could learn about best practices in basic skills education. The development of a report, Basic Skills, A Foundation for Student Success in California Community Colleges, you have it, also known as the POPI copy, reviewed significant studies and identified 26 effective practices in 4 broad categories, such as basic skills as a foundation, basic skills handbook, and basic skills. During that same time, the system used conferences, workshops, and publications. Let me remind you then, as a basic skills as a foundation, basic skills handbook, and basic skills completion e-resource. We did this to ensure the spread of effective practices between colleges. The Chancellor's Office Basic Skills Completion provided a comprehensive list of the student services available to colleges and administrators and some of the specific practices colleges have adopted to improve success. the California Community College Success Network, known affectionately as 3CSN, a chancellor's office grant-funded professional development program, encourages new ways of thinking regarding basic skills instruction. Since 2008, the state of California has made a significant monetary investment attempting to improve student success through the collective work of BSI. And we have seen some steady progress in this ongoing effort to teach our students. The current BSI funds are allocated with a guaranteed minimum level of funding. But now we are pleased to further enhance basic skills funding through the Community College Basic Skills and Students Transformation Program, passed in 2015-16, allocating an additional $60 million for colleges to adopt or expand the use of evidence-based models of academic assessment and placement, remediation, and student support that accelerates the progress of underrepresented students towards and underprepared students towards achieving post-secondary education and career goals. So educating our basic skills student is a college endeavor, not just an instructional issue. Thus, at the Chancellor's Office, we began this year by combining the work in academic affairs and in institutional effectiveness to leverage resources with the existing Basic Skills Fund to support adoption of and a scalability of effective, data-proven strategies to continue to improve student outcomes and basic skills. Today's panel, Deborah Harrington, the Executive Director and Project Administrator for 3CSN and a Dean of Student Success for the Los Angeles Community College District, Alice Van Oberen, Vice Chancellor for Technology, Research, and Information Services, Teresa Tenna, Vice Chancellor of Institution Effectiveness, and Eric Nelson, Project Monitor for Basic Skills and Specialist in the Division of Academic Affairs. We are going to give you a brief overview, and then we'll try to answer all of your questions. And next up, Deborah.
So it falls to me as the basic skills practitioner on the panel. This is my 30th year of teaching English in the California Community Colleges. First class I taught, of course, was a basic skills course. I think back then we commonly referred to it as remediation or remedial education. You probably also know it by the terms developmental ed. What we typically talk about are courses, and so these courses can be non-credit or credit. They cover usually 3 areas of focus. So there's English as a second language, there's math, there's English reading and writing, and a lot of times that's integrated now. So for example, a non-credit course could be a citizenship course that an ESL student might take. What you want to know about credit courses is those are typically the ones that go through a sequence. So you might be 2 levels below math, and you get through, and you're at transfer level. Basic skills courses cannot transfer and do not count for units for a degree. If a course is degree applicable, it can't be classified as basic skills per Title V. But I also want to say that what happened around 2006-07 with the Basic Skills Initiative is we started to think more about basic skills, not just as courses, but as institutional, organizational, support services, all the things that go around the student and also follow the student who's not just in basic skills courses, they're sitting in a gen ed class. And so how do we meet their needs? And so the message that I would say is that BSI provided tremendous visibility, gave us a common language. It also gave us tremendous ownership. For the first time, I saw basic skills, and I still see basic skills committees involving constituents from across campuses on every campus. And that's way different from the days when every time I taught in a writing center, we were in the basement, and we're not in the basement anymore. But also, along with that came a tremendous focus on accountability. And so with BSI, we started developing some data tools, which Alice is going to talk about.
I'm going to frame it a little bit related to the data that we have. So what we see here is the Student Success Scorecard. It's the accountability framework and performance measurement system of the California Community Colleges. This framework has been in place for about a decade now, and it provides us with clear and concise information on student performance as it relates to completion, transfer, retention, as well as basic skills instruction and career technical education. It's considered one of the most robust and transparent accountability systems, and we often go to national conferences and get a lot of accolades for this scorecard. Next.
The most, not one of the most.
The most, yes. So one of the most cited and used metrics in the scorecard is actually the completion rate, which we're seeing up here. And it's basically defined as the percentage of transfer and degree-seeking students that attend college for the first time and who actually complete after 6 years. And if you look on the right side, you see that the overall rate is about 47%. And so when you break it down between students that are college prepared and those that are unprepared or start in remedial or basic skills courses, you see a very large difference, almost a 30% difference, where the completion rates for our college prepared students is about 70%, and for those students starting in remedial or basic skills courses, it's about 40%. So you're seeing a large difference between those two. If we look at the proportion of these first-time students that are placed in remedial courses, you see that approximately 75% of our students are actually unprepared or starting in basic skills courses or starting in remedial courses. And so that's a substantial number. And if you look a little bit at this trend over time, it looks like the percentage of students coming in and needing remedial or basic skills education has remained about, it actually has increased slightly over time. So it's increased from 73.5% to about 75%. So basically the percentage of students coming into our system is steadily at 75% and actually increasing a little bit. One of the metrics in the scorecard is also the remedial rate or the basic skill rate. And it's basically defined as percentage of students who first enrolled in a remedial course and went on to complete a college level course in the same discipline. So these are considered our remedial rates. And we look at both English, math, and ESL. And if you glance at these rates over time, the trend of completion of these college level courses for students starting in basic skills has actually steadily been improving. In other words, there's a strong indicator that something is taking place in our system that's been allowing us to better prepare remedial students for college-level work.
Can I ask a question real quick? 1%, what's that in numbers? What's that reflect?
I think that the proportion of students is probably about 150,000 students in there that are actually starting in those remedial courses.
So 250,000.
Member Alves, let me answer very specifically. On the bottom one, the ESL number, that 4-point difference applied to our student body and 75% of them in need of remediation means about 63,000 more successful students per year when you move it from the lower percentage to the higher.
So you're saying your baseline is 250,000?
Yeah, I don't have the number here.
So 1% is, okay.
Can I ask another question? These are cohorts also? Because the data looks really old, right? 2008, 2000. These are the folks who entered in 2008, 2009? Is that how it works?
These are the students that started for the first time in a remedial course, and the last one is 08, 09.
Right.
And we give all our students 6 years to complete. So either completion or going from remedial into college level work. So 6 years is kind of a standard
This would be
time frame.
current to 2015. So that 2008, 2009, that last.
It goes up to, 13, 14 actually. Yeah.
Okay, so that's just when they entered. And as of today, in 2015, or I guess the spring, this is how many percentage?
Right.
Otherwise, it looks like, wow, this is old data. It's not.
I know, it's confusing, but basically these are first time. And if the Basic Skills Initiative, where was it, 2007 or so it started, so, it kind of lines up, the increases kind of line up with when the beginning of the Basic Skills Initiative.
And the scorecard's refreshed how often? Once a year?
Once a year.
And
in
when does
March.
it take place?
When
When does it take place? When does the refresh take place?
March.
March.
March is so the 2016 report will come out in March. Yeah, so this is based on the 2015 report. So, so something's taking place in our system, and so, and Eric will talk a little bit about what those might be.
Yeah, I'm Eric Nelson. Thanks for letting me speak to you today. I am a graduate of Moore Park College, and back in the early 80s when I went to school, I would have been a basic skills student if it had been provided at that time. I graduated number 3 from the bottom in high school, but California community colleges give you another chance, And without calling it basic skills, I can tell you there was a professor at Moore Park College that taught me some study strategies that helped me work around my 3 very severe learning disabilities. And then I went on to graduate from CSUN with a bachelor's, and I earned a master's and a PhD from UC Davis. So not only am I a product of the California educational system, but there's no question there was a professor that was teaching the equivalent of basic skills to me, and that changed my life. So I'm a big believer in basic skills. Okay, so let's get to the money. Yeah. So there's really kind of 2 pots of money I'm going to talk to you about real quick. The first one is the unrestricted apportionment. And what you're seeing up here is a measure of how much money is generated. And so it's a measure of how many students are taking basic skills courses. About $500 million overall for 13-14. The 14-15 data isn't quite ready yet, so that's why I'm giving you 13-14. And of that, about 141 million came out of non-credit. 359 million came out of credit. Now, to put that in perspective, for all non-credit, not just basic skills, but all non-credit, basic skills accounts for about 66.2%. So a lot of non-credit is directed towards basic skills. And then for credit, and of course, you know, that's working towards certificates and associate's degrees and a lot of other things, but for the basic skills within credit, it's about 7.5%. Overall, for the whole system, credit, non-credit added together is about 10.9%. The other source of money, the Basic Skills Initiative, that's the money we get through the state budget every year. It's been holding strong for a few years at 19 million. It used to be 33 million. And from, or it's actually about 20 million, but when we take out 1.2 million, you have 19 million left. And I'll explain what we do with that in a second. But the 1.2 million goes towards supporting 3CSN, which is Deborah, and she'll talk more about what she does in a second. That's the professional development, that's the cutting edge, figuring out what are we going to do, how can we make this better. So if you see the lines going up, these are actually the folks that are driving a lot of that. The 19 million that's left over, every college currently receives 90,000, even if they don't teach a whole lot of basic skills. Everybody gets 90,000, and then proportional to the amount of basic skills FTES that you're generated, the remainder of the money is distributed. What does this go for? This helps some of the expensive processes that make basic skills get better. It takes money and time to write a course. It takes money and time to rewrite a course. It takes money and time to align courses. So all the things you see up there, assessment, innovation, all of those things, this extra money, this small percentage, and it works out to about 3.8%. So if you take the full FTES generated by courses and the Basic Skills Initiative, this would be about 3.8%, but that's the seed money that can be used to bring about a lot of these changes. The other thing is just talk a little bit about basic skills in general. What drives it? We see really encouraging charts, things going up, but what drives it? Well, it's a lot of things. First of all, it's systems driven. This isn't just a single individual. This is the chancellor's office, this is the colleges, this is professors, this is the academic senate. A lot of different organizations working together to make what you see happening happen. Very complicated stuff. It's data-driven. We read quite often now, especially in legislation, evidence-based, right? That's what's going on. As you heard the chancellor say a moment ago, the scorecard, all the measures that are being set up, this is what keeps Alice and her shop busy all the time, is all this data that's driving best practice decision-making, delivery of the professional development, and of course down in the grass level, the instruction, teaching instructors how to do things. These are all based upon the evidence that's being generated and pointing us in good directions. And I mean, just to boil it down to a simple phrase, it's a lot of hard work. A lot of hard work. Integration of instructional and student services strategies. That means people sit down and say, how can we do these things together? A lot of meetings, a lot of testing things out. Training. And something within training is also replacement. Professors retire. Professors promote into administration. Professors go somewhere else. So in addition to training these things, there's also even just the replacement to keep things where we are currently. Curricular redesign, and one of my favorites, and the last thing I'm going to close with, contextualize curriculum. And I want to tell you just one quick story that really explains it to me. And I know all of you are familiar with this. I heard you talking about it a minute ago. But a gentleman by the name of Hector Brand, who was at Mount San Antonio, took a contextualized basic skills math course. And it was contextualized with math that was related to medicine. That led to him being interested in CNA programs. So he took the regular CNA, he took the advanced CNA, and 2.5 years ago he got hired by San Dimas Community hospital. So there's where contextualized education pays off. So thanks, Vice Chancellor.
And now we're going to let Deborah give us a more significant understanding of the work she's been doing with what we call 3CSN.
So to sustain the hard work that Eric has been talking about, faculty, administrators, staff, they need technical assistance, they need space, they need time, they need the resources to help sustain that. First off, to the training to know how to do it, the ability to share with one another, the ability to test things out, have them fail, and then figure out with one another how to improve. And so 3CSN is unlike any other entity I know of across the country. There's no other system-supported professional development network that is devoted to actually getting on the ground and changing the way people are doing practice at the course level, the program level, and the institutional level. So how does it work? It has a highly coordinated infrastructure, and those infrastructures consist of regional networks and what are called communities of practice. So what the regional networks are, those are located throughout the state. We could still do with some more, but they are headed by a faculty member who is a regional network coordinator. And what they do is they can literally leap into the colleges. They provide technical assistance. They help train the colleges on things like evidence, how to analyze evidence, how to create integrated plans. So one of the big things that we're working on now is how do you take BSI, Triple SP, and equity and craft goals that speak to all three of them and integrate them to drive student success. It's also a place where we can see emerging practices. So the communities of practice on the right-hand side, many of those actually came out of these regional network coordinators going into the field, observing something that was high impact, and then deciding we're going to take it across the state. And the communities of practice themselves, what those are ongoing, they're ongoing, really focused, evidence-based training. And so what that can mean for most of them is 20 to 40 hours of training over the course of the year, plus follow-up. So we have follow-up through the people who lead the communities of practice, but also with the regional network coordinators. And what they're looking at is solving particular problems of practice. I know in your packet you will have one-pagers on each of the communities of practice to understand them more. And what I'm going to do is just highlight a couple of them. So the first one I'm going to talk about is really something that's looking at making a difference at a program level. So it's the California Acceleration Project. And what it is doing with 61 colleges across this state is working with them to redesign the DevEd sequence so it is shorter. There are fewer exit points. And once you do that, there are dramatic increases in student completion of the college level English and math courses. So a study by RP found that in colleges which had done effective English pathways redesign based on the CAP professional development training, students' odds of completing a transfer level course were 2.3 times greater than in the traditional pathway. For math, their odds were 4.5 greater. And what that was doing was showing increases across all student groups. So that meant, you know, socioeconomic, racial, ethnic, all placement levels. And these results led the Association for California Community College Administrators, for example, to recognize CAP and 3CSN with their award for excellence in research. RP Group did the same. But what I want to stress is the benefit of a network is this ability to cross-pollinate and allow for local accommodations, local adaptations. So California Acceleration Project is one model, but we've also partnered with, for example, Carnegie with their Statway program. And so one of our leading network colleges, Pierce, for example, has scaled the largest number of Statway courses in the nation, and they also are showing that students are achieving the transfer level completion at 4 times the amount.
Can I ask a question? It seems like a successful program. Can you tell me how many colleges are adopting this in the state of California at this point?
61.
61. And why aren't the rest of the
Well, I mean, again, that's the goal. But I think what you have to realize is that all 113 colleges have been exposed to what the redesign is, what the aspects of the training are. And then you have the idea that to do that kind of redesign, I mean, you have to, first off, you have to look at the curriculum. You have to actually have your whole campus buy into letting you offer the different courses to reduce the sequence. I mean, it's a lot of work.
So it's really on the individual college to make a decision whether they should do this or not?
Yes, yes, and we actually have, when they agree to become part of the community of practice and do the training, their vice president signs off. They send a letter to me saying that we're going to support the group to do this.
Quick question to Member Estolano and the
Deborah, I'm
Member
sorry, I
Melnick.
didn't quite hear, was that 61 colleges are doing CAP or 61 are in C3SN?
No,
Just that are-
no, 61 are doing CAP.
Got
That's
it.
just, for that community of practice. Mhm.
Member Malliman?
Sort of answered his question. Why are they not doing it? Like, what are the reasons?
Well, that
they
doesn't
might-
mean that they're not doing some form of acceleration. This is just a particular model with the California Acceleration Project. So for example, Pierce College is a 60-second college that's doing acceleration and doing it quite dramatically. They're just using a different model, which is Statway.
Okay, thank you.
The next one I want to talk about is an intervention that's at the course level. And I also want to stress that the interventions that we talk about are heavily research-based. So one of the ones is called Reading Apprenticeship. And what Reading Apprenticeship does, it really is designed to help students understand how to think, problem solve, read, write from a disciplinary point of view. So how do you think like a historian? How do you write like a biologist? And it is one of the practices that's consistent in the literature as making an impact in basic skills student success. And that means basic skills student success not in just basic skills courses, but in courses in gen ed across the curriculum. So Reading Apprenticeship was originally something that was in K through 12. And what we've been able to do with our Reading Apprenticeship project, because it's, again, this idea of a community of practice, is that we have become 1/3 of all people trained in reading apprenticeship across this country are trained through Reading Apprenticeship Project in California community colleges through 3CSN. And it's with a partnership with WestEd, so we're bringing their content and we're putting it into this community of practice context. So what does that mean? Reading Apprenticeship Project has reached over 2,000 community college educators from over 90 colleges. And we have just become part of a STEM network. So what we're looking at is Reading Apprenticeship for STEM because, again, this is an active learning and, it helps students at the class level engage with the material and it's making a difference, particularly in underserved minority populations. We have 13 of our 3CSN colleges right now doing the STEM. We'll have 16 next year, but what happens with those 13 and 16 colleges is they in turn become professional learning hubs to take it across the region. Through our partnership, we are offering the very first Reading Apprenticeship Conference in May in California, and so we're really excited about that. The next slide is just really giving you the kind of principles of what we're trying to base this on. It is about creating leadership, but it's also really more than anything else about it's not once and done. And it's focused on spreading between and across colleges. And it's also trying to be there. When you try something out and a year later, the campus support wanes, how do you help them figure out how to get on track for something that helps really increase student success? So what's happened in 6 short, action-packed, gray hair-inducing years is that more than 18,900 faculty, administrators, support staff have received ongoing professional development through 3CSN. And I just want to very specifically say that means all 113 California community colleges have been involved. But if we just look at communities of practice, which remember I said it's 20 to 40 hours of sustained professional development, over 2,500 educators have been involved in that. And what they're doing, that means that nearly 100 colleges are making changes at the course, program, and institutional level, leading to the fact that the Chancellor's Office, they give an annual Student Success Award. In 2013 and 2014, the programs you awarded, the centerpiece of their programs was professional development from 3CSN to drive those programs. We were, this year, the only professional development finalist in something called the National Bellwether Award. We were one of 10 finalists. It's the only professional development one. It's the only system-driven one. What I really want to leave you with is the idea that we're creating leaders for California communities, a college's future. So our network coordinators, more than 80% of them, they started out training with us. Now they're the leaders. Those coordinators, as well as participants, have become deans, vice presidents, department chairs. They are professional development coordinators. They are also triple SP and equity coordinators.
Thank you.
That's what I
Okay, go ahead.
So now we'd like to share with you where we believe we're going. You want to start?
Sure. On this particular slide, it's highlighting some recent infusions of resources that the state provided for basic skills. The $60 million for the Community College Transformational Basic Skills Program, one-time money focused on evidence-based strategies to scale up and increase the amount of these types of successful evidence-based practices being offered in our system. As well, the $10 million for a Basic Skills Partnership Program, that's in conjunction with CSU. And one thing that will be coming before the board is our system budget request for the next fiscal year. And we are requesting $20 million of ongoing resources in addition to the $19 million that Eric spoke to earlier. I think one of the things that we wanted to highlight particularly in my role on this particular panel as the Vice Chancellor of Institutional Effectiveness, and this is an effort that recently begun. It's building on the work that's already certainly been taking place within our system for years. There certainly is a tremendous amount of evidence-based research and effective practices to draw from. And one of the things, as Deborah's articulated, focused on basic skills, but this is really true throughout the entire system, is that colleges and districts need a coordinated sequenced delivery of professional development resources over the entire system. And it's transfer, it's pre-collegiate, it's workforce, it's college operations, it's leadership development, it's everything that we do. And the Institutional Effectiveness Initiative exists to connect and pull together resources to engage in transformational change for the entire system. We have some very aspirational goals for the work, allowing the community colleges to become the most effective higher education system in the world, eliminating accreditation sanctions and audit findings, enhance access, success, and equity for our students. That's a very global picture, and in this one instance with basic skills, we're ensuring that we also work collaboratively with associations and organizations to focus on pre-collegiate and basic skills issues. And so one of the things that, as we're rolling up and certainly scaling up the institutional effectiveness program, and one of the areas that the state recently provided an additional investment was the dissemination of effective practices. And so, we are trying to build a kind of a portfolio of what institutional effectiveness programs will be delivering. And this is true for certainly basic skills, but it's a colleague helping colleague approach. It's really working with existing statewide initiatives, partnerships, associations, and organizations within our system. It's building on these evidence-based strategies. And at the same time, these trainings are meant to have a deliverable occur at the conclusion. We actually identify what the outcomes expected. There's actually a plan that a team from the college or the district will leave with in terms of operationalizing that activity. And there's also continuous improvement. It's not just a one training and we kind of leave it at that. We're going to be constantly involved. And so, we're going to be very connected to this new basic skills transformational program. It certainly will be something that we will be putting on some trainings in concert with 3CSN, other associations and organizations within our system to try to provide our system and our colleges and our districts with the resources needed to be successful in implementing that program.
Thank you. We're going to go straight to public comment from here, and then we will then entertain board questions.
Okay, I think we have 3 public comment requests on this. Summer Serpas from Irvine Valley College, Katie Hearn from Chabot College, CAP, and Kathy Kubo from College of the Canyons. So Summer, maybe? Okay. Okay. And we were not good about telling folks this in the last session, but we generally do 3 minutes.
Yep.
Great, thank you.
I practiced.
Okay. Okay.
Hi, everybody. I'm Katie Hearn, and I am an English instructor at Chabot College. And 5 years ago, I joined forces with Myra Snell, who's a math instructor at Los Medanos College, to create the California Acceleration Project. Whew. And we work in partnership with 3CSN, with funding from the State Chancellor's Office, to support community colleges to transform remediation and increase completion and equity. And as Deborah shared, to date, faculty from 61 of the state's colleges have stepped forward to offer redesigned accelerated remediation with support from CAP. Whew, and research from the RP group shows dramatic completion and equity gains at participating colleges. To give you a sense of that, for African American students, for example, they saw their completion of transfer level math quadruple and their achievement gaps eliminated in redesigned statistics pathways. So, when the Basic Skills Initiative was established in 2007, there wasn't a lot of clarity in the field about how to improve outcomes for basic skills students. And so how that funding requirements were set up were fairly broad and not terribly prescriptive to leave a lot of room for local innovation at the colleges. And if you look at statewide data, we've made some gains, but the gains are modest. And it's clear that we have a lot more work to do as a system. But the good thing is that the Basic Skills Initiative spurred colleges to focus attention on remediation and to do a lot of local innovation. And over the last 8 years, we've learned a lot. We learned first that the metric that mattered most was not whether students passed a particular basic skills course, say a math course 3 levels below, but whether they went on to complete a transferable college level course. And we're much better at measuring that as a system now. This is the most important early momentum point in students' progress toward degree or transfer. And so we're excited to see AB 770 and the new $60 million focus colleges on moving this needle. We also know a lot more about how to move that needle than we did in 2007. So the handout you have in front of you, this one, fresh off the graphic designer's hard drive, it summarizes what we've learned from CAP and other large research studies nationally and inside California. 3 strategies have shown to produce significant increases in student completion of transfer level English and math. Gains of not just a few percentage points, but double, triple, quadruple the completion of student completion. These are the big things that community colleges can do. First, we can let more students begin directly in college level courses without remediation, because research is showing they're a lot more prepared than we've been giving them credit for. Second, we can provide students additional support inside college level courses instead of requiring them to do standalone remediation first. And third, we can replace multi-level basic skills sequences with well-designed and well-taught single semester courses. With funding from the Chancellor's Office, CAP has helped 61 colleges to make a lot of progress over the last 5 years, but there's far more work to do. At most of these colleges, the accelerated pilots are small, and so we're not reaching the number of students that we really need to reach. We're thrilled about the $60 million opportunity to scale up these 3 high leverage strategies beyond the small scale pilots that Mr. Reed mentioned earlier, with clear direction and support for colleges to do the things that make the biggest difference for California students.
Next, whoever wants to go next, I guess. Kathy Kubo or Summer Serpas. I'm sure you'll work it out. Okay.
Good afternoon. I'm Summer Serpas, and I'm an English instructor at Irvine Valley College. In 2012, I worked with a colleague to pilot an accelerated basic skills class. It was messy, stressful, and overwhelming, and during that first year, we were grateful to be part of the California Acceleration Project. We needed to hear from experienced faculty about what worked in their accelerated classes and what they struggled with. We needed to hear their classroom stories and see what the teaching looked like day by day. We needed help to trust that students could do more than we'd been asking of them and that this new pedagogy would work. CAP's support was transformative for me and my students. In traditional basic skills classes, my students did minimal reading and wrote only basic paragraphs. Now they're reading multiple full-length books and challenging academic articles, and writing essays about theories of addiction or the nature of human cruelty. We are asking them immediately to join academic discourse, and they are rising to the occasion. Our accelerated course has been in place for 3 years, and twice as many students as before are now completing college English. The gains are even greater for students of color. In fall 2012, only 12% of African American students in our traditional basic skills sequence went on to pass the college level course. In our accelerated course, that number rose to 60%. That's 5 times as many African American students completing college English. Because of the high rates of success, Irvine Valley College has gone from offering just 2 sections of the accelerated course to completely eliminating our traditional basic skills sections as of spring 2016. We did this by building a local professional development program to help faculty teach with high challenge, high support pedagogy. 17 faculty have been trained so far, and they and their students are experiencing the same transformation we experienced in CAP. One colleague sends me text messages about the joy she feels when she sees what her students are capable of achieving, and others stop by my office, excited to share their students' success stories. Even more say that what they've learned is transforming all of their classes and not just the accelerated ones. To say that we are happy with the gains we've made at IVC would be an understatement, but we don't plan to stop there. With support from CAP, we are discussing a new co-requisite course that would allow basic skills students to enroll directly in college English with extra support, and we are working to change placement policies to further improve completion. Our experience at Irvine Valley College points to the potential for real change in basic skills completion rates across California. It also highlights what's needed to support that change. We couldn't have done this without the professional development provided by CAP and funded by the State Chancellor's Office. And we couldn't have done it without the resources that our own college provided for faculty training. We hope that the new $60 million from the state will help more colleges transform basic skills on behalf of their students so that all students have a better chance of meeting their academic, career, and life goals. Thank you.
Last, Kathy Kubo.
Good afternoon. I'm Kathy Kubo, Professor of Mathematics and Coordinator for our CAP-inspired math program at College of the Canyons. When we began our journey 3.5 years ago, we lived in a world where only 6 out of 100 lowest placing students completed a transfer-level math course. And if you were a student of color, your chance was half of that. This dismal landscape dramatically changed with Basic Skills Initiative funding for CAP professional development. With their guidance and training, we created an innovative alternative pathway for students who are not in math-intensive majors. We created a pre-statistics course. This strategy nearly tripled our completion rate for all students taking this path. We currently offer 45 sections per year of this pre-statistics course, impacting 1,300 students, yet we still aren't meeting student needs. To expand our efforts, last year we began implementing CAP's second strategy, changing placement procedures and removing arithmetic from our credit pathway. This year we are rethinking our placement policy to more meaningfully incorporate multiple measures, such as a student's high school work. Once we fully implement these strategies, we expect more than 40 out of 100 students who would have placed at the lowest levels to complete a transfer-level math course. Basic skills funds have allowed our faculty to create more meaningful, relevant, and authentic learning experiences that help our students navigate course content and life. We now engage students in more challenging tasks, emphasizing teamwork, oral, and written communication skills. We create supportive classroom communities to intentionally foster a growth mindset towards learning, help combat self-sabotaging behavior, and build confidence in those who didn't think they'd ever survive math. I know our campus is unique, and we have enthusiastic support from administration, but even in the most conducive environment, faculty need substantial and sustained help in addressing daunting challenges because it's hard to change past practices and do things differently. This is best done through continued funding of statewide organizations that provide outside expertise, technical assistance, and professional development. Without them, we wouldn't be able to offer and expand what we do. The past 3.5 years have been the most fulfilling and rewarding time in my 15 years at College of the Canyons, and I want to thank you for making this possible.
Thank you very much, and thank you for those presentations. I'm going to excuse the panel, but I want Pam to stay at the table, but I'll excuse the panel.
I can handle it.
And thank you for the comprehensive presentation. And if the board will indulge me, I'm going to combine the public discussion and questions about basic skills also with the strategic conversation that we're going to start here, because as I look at it, we're in a crisis if 3/4 of the students entering our system are not prepared for college level work. And we see the consequences of having students enter our system who are not prepared. And if that's not a strategic priority for our system, I don't know what is. So I wanted to open it to questions both about basic skills and also call everybody's attention to another letter we've received from the Campaign for College Opportunity. And I know a number of us had been contacted by them earlier during the legislative session, and talking about ways that the Board of Governors can be more effective in helping move the needle on basic skills, to see what we can do and then scale up some of the programs that we heard today that we know are working, but how we can keep it going. So I want to open it up to the board for questions about basic skills, but also as we begin that process of thinking through what should be in the strategic plan, if each board member could at least, and this is the beginning of a conversation, but also on basic skills, I'm assuming that this isn't going to be the only, as the chancellor said, we're talking about it here in September, but I expect, several times during the course of the year, I'm going to agendize this for follow-up conversations. But are there other topics that we should be particularly sensitive to as we look ahead to the strategic planning process going forward? So I'm setting it up to the board, and welcome any. Member Epstein?
Unless I'm hearing this wrong, this seems like the biggest no-brainer that we've had since I've been on this board. I mean, you've got 3/4 of the students needing this kind of help, and you've got a program that appears to be tripling, quadrupling, quintupling people's success. Am I missing something? Does this seem like it's absolutely the right thing to do and be expanding it dramatically?
No, you're absolutely right, and that's what makes the $60 million that in one-time only money so valuable, because what you heard today are some really immensely successful practices applied to hundreds and thousands of students, which we need to ultimately apply to hundreds of thousands of students, so you're absolutely right.
Member Sumner and then Member Corr.
So 62 colleges, and then a couple of them have done some different ones, but are they the lower income that haven't taken it on? Because every college should have it be where they should be doing it. It should be mandatory coming from the board. And if there are some areas that have lower income or whatever that aren't getting it because they don't have the funding or the budget, that's a no-brainer too. That's where it needs to go to help those communities.
Well, I think that all 113 of the colleges have robust basic skills activity. What you heard was this particular program includes 61 or 2 of them. But your point about are some of them less able because of their location or their funding, I suspect that is true. And that's why, again, this shot in the arm of one-time only money may really have an impact on those institutions.
Like Sputnik had talked about, where you sort of look at it, what is where it's really needed to make a difference, when you're really looking at it, because that's huge. I mean, this is such a great success. And just reading that story from that one person on that page, reading it was just amazing. I mean, and it's really exciting to get it out there, but I don't think the community realizes what a success this is, and the students need to hear it. I just don't think we publicize this enough.
Member Corr, then Member Reed.
I was wondering how much leeway is given to college when they are implementing programs like this, because I think everyone that came and gave their story. It was specific to each college because each college has different needs. Like the pre-stats thing might work at one school, but that might not be needed in another school. So how much leeway do these schools have?
So let me give you an example of a time I was at a college just recently, and we worked with Statway. And one of our faculty members saw a real interest in that particular program in Statway. But I was in a four-college district, and some of the other colleges didn't see it exactly the same way. So they started to work and try to address those issues. When we had one class of Statway, 30 students may have had some success. It's now 3 classes of Statway. It could go to 10 classes of Statway next year. So I think that each college has the right to do what they need to do. They hire the faculty to try to bring all this together, and we're seeing across the system that in those early years when I was a first-year teacher, remember we called it bonehead English and math? And I was the person that got to be the homeroom monitor right after lunch for the bonehead math and English guys. And so what we did was we just started tutoring, because I could even tutor bonehead math and English. We have moved the needle so significantly since that day of bonehead math and English to these courses being pre-collegiate. And it really is taking the energy that we're going to do and hiring this next year of maybe 3,000 new faculty members, the incredible energy of professional development. When you know more, you do more. And so sometimes you don't have the ability to do more because you just don't have that knowledge in the base that you came from relative to your professional career. So I think all of this work is going to elevate opportunity for all of our colleges.
Reed?
How will the money be dispersed, the $60 million? Will it be similar to some of the other programs where everybody gets a little bit and then grants will be given out, or?
This will go out on an RFP, and colleges will have to indicate what kind of program they're going to use to scale up. So with the $60 million, I think Vince and I were talking once, it was about there's a potential of 100 colleges could get something if they did a couple of programs, but it won't be just FTE allocated per college. They'll really have to show us some ways they're going to scale up their programs.
And then Pam, report back afterwards.
Yes, yeah, oh yes. I thought that was just a given.
Yeah.
Report back afterwards.
Member Belinsky?
I want to just add in something about the Statway program. Just simply to say that Statway is a year-long community college course sequence where you try to combine algebra and statistics in order to give the students a transferable course in statistics. And one of the problems, I think, has been, and that will change over time now, has been transferability. And it wasn't until January 9th of 2015 that the UC system said that it would approve it as UC transferable. And the discussion is still ongoing with CSU because at the last GIAC meeting, their math department weren't happy campers. And yet it's mathematics and quantitative reasoning. So sometimes the colleges taking this on are also looking at these other issues that they have to deal with and whether they have to temper it or not, like come up with different wording so that the UC and the CSU system, but as I say, the UC system now is on board. We have to just work with our partners at CSU.
And I do attend GIAC. I went to the last meeting, and they love me both for the bachelor's degree, and they love me for this program. But with my faculty colleagues there and Denise Nolan, we did everything we could to encourage that and move it forward. And I think we're going to see some movement with CSU as well. So I hope to go back and have those same really fun conversations with them.
I have a question, and then I'm going to, then Member Conway. But a question that's come, and Member Obelus after. A question that's been raised to me by the Campaign for College Opportunity. You know the players there, and Eloy and others, and they keep saying, the Board of Governors can do much more on this. The Board of Governors has much more power in evoking change. Now, certainly we advocated and worked in partnership to get the $60 million. But other than advocating for funds and also in using the bully pulpit and other resources to generate resources for professional development. What more can the board do to address this crisis in underprepared students at our schools?
Well, I'll admit to being troubled by a comment like that, because the implicit in that is that the folks who are working in the field aren't serious about this or aren't doing everything in their power. And I think nothing could be further from the truth. This is an enormous problem, one that's getting worse and worse. And I think what you've heard recently is over the past 7 years, there's been an immense amount of work done in this system to try to get our arms around this. And I will be the first to admit that our challenge has been scaling it up. But you know, what the board can do is what they've done historically, be immensely supportive of this process, hold us accountable, and that's, again, it's your accountability system that was created as a result of the Student Success Task Force that requires us annually to show you how this work is being done. What we all hope will happen is that this curve will dramatically tick up as we begin to scale these activities up.
And I'm hoping things that, like the board has done to mandate earlier assessment at the high school level, will then help students get that preparation at high school if they're tested to be not ready for college earlier in school before they even get to us. Isn't that one of the things that we've been able to do?
That's right. The board sponsors legislation this year on concurrent enrollment to help us get down into those, especially junior and senior year, and identify those students that are having basic skills and remediation challenges. So absolutely, that's exactly what your work in the past has been designed to do.
Member Conway, Member Obelus, and
Well,
then
that kind of
Member
answers
Sumner.
my question. It was just going to be, what can we do to take a program like this and help our friends in the high schools have these students more prepared before they, I mean, you know, that you see successful results, and it's it's got to be so frustrating that kids are allowed to get to a point where they come to a community college. I realize some of them are reentry students. That's a whole different group of folks. I mean, I don't know that I could pass a basic math skills class right now, but
Get you in the CAP program.
okay, I need to be in the seasoned seniors that need help program. But that's the thing that I hear so much from counselors and from other people. It's just frustrating because it's not that this isn't good and it's great and it's solving a problem, but it's somebody else's problem that's really been given to community college. So there's probably no answer to this. I just thought I'd say that. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Member Obelus?
So, like it's been stated, this is obviously one of the biggest troubling issues in the community college system. To me, it's like what we have since 2007. We've been funding money, right? That's what I heard. 2007, we put money into basic skills, and yet our completion rates are coming down. So we're not getting better; we're actually getting worse. So we're putting more money into the system to address this issue, and yet we're not seeing the outcomes that we want in terms of total completion. Because I go back 2 years, and then for people who came unprepared, it was a 41% completion. Last year, it was 39%. So we're actually having less people complete, and we're putting more money into the system. So to me, something is not working, right? Something's not working when it comes to completion. So these programs are amazing. The question is, tell me one or two programs that are really moving the needle, right? Because if they're truly moving the needle, then we should be doubling down on those programs. I mean, my challenge is when you leave it up to the system to do whatever they want to do, well, they're going to do what they want. But the question is, what can we do here at the Board of Governors to invest in those programs that are truly moving the needle so that we can impact more students and really play at scale? Because at the end of the day, it's about moving the needle for an entire system where we have 75% of our students that are unprepared, right? So that's kind of my question to you. Are there one or two programs we can invest in? What is the Board of Governors, what can we do to make sure we're investing in those programs that will make an impact?
Well, just generally, I think that the programs we talked about here are an investment. 3CSN has done some incredible work in getting more than 20,000 faculty, staff, and administrators involved in this dialogue. And if you think about what they're doing at College of the Canyons, I'm not sure they could have done that if they hadn't gotten the administrative team involved as well, because that means they have to change the way they do business. That's significant. It takes a while to do those things. I think this team of people you had here today, we're very serious. This is not fun. We are not doing a good job in California when more people come to us unprepared and we can't get them to a place of preparation. But I think that some of the work we're doing with CAP, with 3CS, I saw reading apprenticeship on a campus work. It really works, and it drew faculty together. It takes a bit of time to put all that together, and I think these new resources will scale up some of the work we need to do. But it's a whole transformation of a college. It can't just be done overnight. And I think those are the things that we're going to have to play on the items that we heard today that work, those projects that work, and we're going to have to scale those up.
So what I heard was we have CAP at 61 colleges. How many students are we touching who are part of the CAP program at 61 colleges? Well, the question is that we're touching 10,000, and we're talking about incoming students, 450,000 coming into the system. I mean, we're talking about, 5%, right? And we're hearing some great things about this program, and we're putting $60 million back into the system. The question is, why aren't we going back to CAP and say, 10,000, let's move to 50,000, right? Are we putting those metrics in there to say, what's that? Well, yeah.
I really want to make a
So
comment
Member
about that,
Core
actually.
and then Member Shaw.
So about that CAP point specifically, programs like that have like special privileges. Like they'll have priority registration, or they'll have things with counselors. You can't extend a program that has priority registration per se. The CAP program at my campus had priority registration, and the ones neighboring in our district did as well. So those are some of the implications with expanding those programs. You have to take those away. And in my campus, that priority registration was essential, so those students finish in 2 years because they wanted to see that happen. I'm sorry, was I next on the...
Was that, and then Member Shaw's next after that.
Okay. I also don't think that we should measure student success based off how many are fully completing, because some students do just come for basic skills, and they get their basic skills and they leave. Some come like later in life. So I don't think it's fair that we're measuring these programs by overall numbers, because if you look at the basic numbers, these programs are flourishing. And I really want to commend the work that you're doing, because I think it's making a huge difference. And in terms of us bringing it to the high school level, I don't think that's very probable, because the high schools have CASI, and that's a test you have to pass to exit high school. And only if you don't pass it do you get put in high school basic classes. But I think it'd be hard to just determine out of high school if students are going to be put in basic skills, but a lot of them don't even know where they're going to be going. So I think that would be just opening up a whole new can of worms that I don't know if that would be really effective.
You know, the $10 million that we have, we also have another grant, and that's going to work with CSU and the high school partners with community colleges. So we may be able to see 4 or 5 college districts working with their CSU and high school partners that may be able to allow us all to, learn something from that experience. So, and I talked with this, I will say this, I wish I could say it offline, but my high school colleague says, what could we do? Why don't you just teach college ready in their senior year? And they said, no, Pam, what could we do? That would be it. And my CSU colleagues, we've been talking a lot. What would we do? Just don't let 60% of the people into CSU until they're ready to take college, right? So that would give us all the students. But I think working together, and you have to have some humor, even though it's not much fun, you have to have some humor in saying, we have to all do this together. There's a problem someplace in K-12 where they don't get them college ready. I don't know what that problem is. I quit teaching in high school years ago. And there's probably a problem at CSU. We're the cog in all of that, I think, and we're going to bring people together and talk about that. So we'll do that with the $10 million.
Right. Member Shaw and then Member Burdick.
Before I was talking about just trying to create capacity in regions that don't have the capacity. I don't know if you remember what they said earlier, but the model regions were Orange County and what was the other one?
Central Valley.
Central Valley and San Diego, which is sort of, with the exception of Central Valley, are sort of the more affluent areas. So I'm also thinking about in terms of the colleges, in terms of preparing, accessing the money. They're really, I'm certain most of them are run very well, but some of them are not. So do you have a plan to help the administrators of certain colleges who won't be able to compete for these funds to sort of bolster their effort?
That's a good point. Do you have a?
Yeah, I think that I absolutely believe that we have to figure out a way to make sure all areas of the state, especially those where there are increasing numbers of educationally and economically disadvantaged students, can share in that $60 million. You heard Pam say that perhaps as many as 100 of the 113 institutions. Well, if we get that close, we'll probably find a way to make sure all of the colleges are included.
Member Burdick?
There are high school outreach programs, and some of them are quite robust, and so we don't want to pass that over. That's happening a lot. The great thing about the basic skills effort from the very beginning was innovation. Schools all over the place were trying things, and a lot of the programs failed. They went in with good intentions, but we also came up with much of what we saw today came out of innovations on our campuses. We also are doing acceleration, though we're not part of that project. We looked at those. We tried it different ways. They're being very successful, and so that's going on all over the state. So when we're looking at 61 schools, we're probably looking at many more than that. I'm noticing that through this document that we are looking for proven programs that can be proven with the data. That there's a little bit of a drawback on that. We do want programs that we know will work, but we also want those innovations to continue. We don't have the solutions, and having all of the funding based on the proven record is probably going to stifle some of that. So we should hold on to the innovations.
Thank you. Member Epstein?
With Arnaldo's point that, where we find something like this, it seems to be really working. I mean, it's the urgent matter to get that information out and get other people using it as much as possible if it really is showing those kind of results and people are comfortable that those are legitimate, scores and so forth. But I also had a question for Ravneet. You seem to indicate that these programs kind of took away from something else. Could you explain that a little bit, that people, you said they got advanced registration and that detracts from
I was
others?
just saying that because the question was asked, why don't we expand more students into these programs? Some of these programs have like special benefits to them, and so at my district, there's so many students. If you're in the CAP program, you get priority registration. So they have a limited amount of students that they can enroll in every semester for those programs, and that priority registration is there so they can help get the right classes, help move in the right group and stuff. And so I was bringing up to a point that we do want to expand these programs, but we can't always if there's stuff like that attached to them.
So that's just a matter of capacity then. It's just
Since each district is governed independently, when we have a great pilot program that has demonstrated results, what are the tools that the board has to incentivize adoption across the state?
The greatest one, of course, is getting those best practices out, and the fact that you have 61 colleges, and I think Jeff's right, it's probably the number's probably far higher than that, participating in this particular project is a testament to the fact that apparently that's working. But getting it from 61, or whether it's 70 or 75 to 113 is what we need to do. I mean, that's the real challenge, is to make certain that we get all the colleges, whether it's this particular successful practice or one or two of the other ones, get everybody on board on one of those. And again, the $60 million is supposed to help do that, because it's a big infusion of money in a short period of time.
Right, and remember, 2007, we might have been teaching bonehead math and English, and we've gotten people out of the cellars doing some incredible work. We left you with the Poppy Copy. We have e-resources. We have done a significant amount of work. It doesn't mean we haven't done enough, because we still have more students coming to us. So I think the colleges have been innovative, and they've done things that work for their region and their college. And we're going to add all that together and bring people together again. And Teresa said we're going to have as many more summits and conversations. The more people we have understanding the issue and how to teach, even if I teach a physics class. Kathy Kubo is an English teacher, math teacher. Her brother, Ken, you hired at a college here in the Los Rios district to teach biology. He teaches with some of that same intent, teaching biology and biotechnology as she does in math on another side of the state. So I think it's about developing more of our faculty and having them learn as well. And so I think we'll do all of that. We'll continue to do all of that work. But remember, it was just a moment ago in 2007 that we didn't have anything. We don't have enough, but we just got to keep pushing the needle as fast as we can as we do this work.
My hope is that I was a local trustee for a long time, and we need to get the local trustees to also hold their own districts accountable for that too. When we had like a legal mandate for transfer legislation, it was still difficult to get individual districts and colleges to adopt degrees for transfer, even with the law calling for it. That's a challenge, and we've got to find a way, working with the league and others, because there's trustees that are isolated and they don't even really pay attention to some of these things. Member Kaur?
Thank you. So I was wondering if all colleges are not adopting this program because they have another program implemented that they're choosing to.
They might.
And if that's the case, I think a good way to incentivize them to switch this program is to require a document of their numbers and seeing how they've improved basic skills on their campus.
And that's what is required on the $60 million. They have to tell us how they're going to use it, and then they have to report back whether it made a difference or not.
And if it didn't, can't you mandate that they have to switch to this model if it's more effective? Wouldn't that be like something that the board could do?
Well, I'd rather have them tell us how they do it based on what they've done, hiring faculty, setting up courses, and then how it works with student success and equity as well. That really could parlay this in a totally different way, and that's what we're trying to do with all these resources.
Member Belinsky?
I'll just say this again because I said it earlier today. I do think as we move forward with our strategic planning, that from my perspective, this issue of professional development needs to get far more attention than it's gotten over the years. It always falls to the bottom of everything, even the state budget, et cetera. And yet, if we provided those opportunities more to people, more would happen.
Yes.
I think I'm keeping you from the Chinese acrobats,
but if you no, you stay there.
Okay.
I'll let you know when we're ready to dismiss you.
Okay,
Member Castellano.
So a couple of points. One is to just give a really big plug and endorsement for the concept of communities of practice. If you want to talk about professional development, it's an incredibly cost-effective way of moving the needle in terms of professional development. I'm personally familiar with it in the environmental, in green jobs context, and you can build networks in ways that you can't do by just giving money to the administration. It's really powerful. It's doing it on the cheap, but it's very, very powerful. And having somebody who actually gets paid, and I'm assuming you're getting paid, Kathy, to do that really heavy-duty lift of coordinating all of those. So that's important. It can't be understated. And let's give the administration credit for doing that kind of cost-effective way of proliferating the practices. The second thing, to Ravneet's point about, well, can't we just mandate it? And then President Baums talked about the degrees for transfers and how difficult it was to get people to move, or colleges to move, even when it was mandated. The one thing we did every single month, every single meeting on the associate degrees for transfer was that wonderful chart you guys did. And it showed what the goal was for every single college, where they were, what the percentage was, and it was like really clear who was performing and who was not. And those of us who were new and didn't even know anything about associate degree for transfers would check that and look at our favorite college, and it would make us ask questions publicly about, well, why isn't that school performing, even though we didn't know all of the bells and whistles of associate degree for transfer. So one of the most powerful things this board does is actually lift up and kind of call out the not as well of performers. So if one were to set a goal of getting better outcomes for basic skills students on the measurement that you're talking about, the rates of success in college level courses, and you've set a goal, this board set a goal and said we're going to report how every school, every college is doing on that goal. It's not legislated, it's not mandated, but it's our policy to want to do more than a 1% increase a year. I mean, I know that must have been very difficult to move, but it doesn't look very good. The question is not just the percentage of movement. What you asked Arnaldo, or maybe it was Scott, how many people is that? How many people is that in the context of 2.1 million students? And if you think of really, if 75% are not prepared, although we're going to look at the assessments differently, that's also an important thing. If you just accepted that number, that's 1.5 million students, right? So I think that's something that when we go through our strategic plan, if we want to put basic skills at a very high level, we may want to think about that power we have to have a very clear scorecard every other month when we meet on how are you doing, campuses, in the thing that we've decided is really important. Because if we can't take this to scale very, very rapidly, we should just all go home. Because it doesn't matter that we have 2.1 million students, we're not providing the basics that they need. And so again, I'm not to denigrate what's been done to date. It's pretty remarkable what you've done. And I know you all have focused on the CAP program because it's got great results. There are many other great programs as well. It's not the program you use, it's the results that you get. And so that's my suggestion, that we think about what's the goal we want to achieve and we measure people against it.
Can I take that one step further? Just a question. Great points, Member Lozano. The question is, instead of just having the scorecard reviewing how are they doing, can we incent? Can we pay for performance? Can we provide a little prize saying, hey, anyone who's moved X amount, this is what we're going to provide you? I mean, can we do something like that? If we can't mandate, can we incent? That's my question.
Member Sumner?
Just sort of to add to that, it's like then taking it back onto the weeds a step further, going, okay, why aren't they doing well? Okay, how did you reach out to the community? Did you go back? Did you communicate with the colleges? Did you do an open forum for the parents to know that all of a sudden, the more we can reach it down, saying, well, this is how you could do it. Reach down a little bit lower to say, hey, this is what's going on. Because there's got to be which colleges or which schools or high schools are less than other ones. When they come in, you know which high school they went to. So you have that be part of it too, going, hey, hate to put the name out there, but we've got 30 kids from this school, there's a problem. And then you address it back up, and that sort of becomes, as far as all the money they get in the big pictures, that's how you get into there, make a difference.
We also have the ability, on the flip side, is saying, okay, there's a serious problem at this particular campus, then we're going to send in our institutional effectiveness team, which is why we have it, and we're going to send in Pam Walker, and we're going to figure out, you guys have not adopted any of these practices, it's kind of a problem, let's go troubleshoot this. And I think that's the power of having an institutional effectiveness program, which we've never had before.
Right.
I think the Chancellor and his team have heard loud and clear a lot of the board's interest in this topic and desire to continue to build on the tremendous progress that's been made to date. And this will play very centrally to the strategic plan that we'll be embarking on in the next, as well as workforce. So I think we've covered a lot of important ground here. And so I'm going to, do you have any final words, Chancellor?
I would just say that when you leave here and...
I'm going to adjourn, and then you can make
got it.
kind of like logistical announcements.
Go ahead.
Okay, so I'm going to adjourn the meeting so we can take that. Now we have housekeeping.
To get to reception and the dinner, straight through out of this building and just round the corner to the next building, or if you're driving, on the other side of the